Good morning, students. Today we are going to continue with our topic of real numbers. As we know that real number consists of rational and irrational numbers. Today I am going to take up the irrational numbers. The definition of the irrational number is given here. A number is called irrational if it cannot be written in the form of p by q, where p and q are integers and q not equal to 0. Means if it cannot be expressed in the form of p by q, then it comes in the category of irrational numbers. We have some examples given here like root 2, root 3. It is a decimal number which is non-terminating and non-repeating. That means all the decimal numbers which are non-terminating, non-repeating come in the category of irrational number. Now we have a very important theorem. So let me explain the theorem. Let p be a prime number if p divides a square, then p divides a, where a is a positive integer. Now to explain this theorem, I have taken two examples. Now suppose 2 divides 16, then 2 will surely divide 4. In the same way, if 3 divides 81, then 3 will divide 9. That means if p divides a square, then p divide a. Here 2 divides 16, which is actually 4 square, then 2 will divide 4. 3 divides 81, which is actually 9 square, so 3 will divide 9. This is a very important theorem, and we will be using this theorem in the coming example. Now I am going to take up one question from the NCERT book, and the question is: prove root 2 is an irrational number. So to solve this question, we are going to use a very unique method known as the contradiction method. So let me explain. In this method, we will assume root 2 as a rational number. That means we have to prove it is irrational, but we will assume that root 2 is a rational number. That means just the opposite thing what we have to prove. Now we can express root 2 in the form of a by b, where a and b are co-prime and b not equal to 0. The question comes, what is a co-prime? Co-prime are the numbers which have only common factor as 1. They are the numbers whose SCF is 1. So we are assuming that root 2 is a rational number and it is in the form of a by b, but this a and b are the co-prime numbers and b is not equal to 0. Now by the cross multiplication, we are going to get a is equal to root 2b. Then we will square both the sides and we will get a square is equal to 2b square. Now look at this step. This is a number which is an even number because it is the multiple of 2. So I can say a square is an even number. And when a square is an even number, a will be an even number. Just now we have taken up the theorem. The theorem does now explain the same thing, that if a square is divided by 2, then a will be also divided by 2. So now we can write a as 2c, where c is some integer. Now putting this value of a in the first equation, we are going to get the value 2b square is equal to 4c square. That means b square is equal to 2c square. Here again it is a multiple of 2. That means b square is an even number, and so b is also an even number. And here comes the contradiction. We have started with the assumption that a and b are co-prime number. That means the SCF is 2. SCF is 1, not 2. But here we are getting that a and b have at least 2 as a common factor. That means we are proving that a and b are having the common factor a, that is 2. And here is the contradiction, that the fact a and b have no common factor other than 2. So we have started with the assumption that a and b are co-primes and they have the SCF as 1. And moving forward through the steps, we are going to prove here that a and b have at least 2 as a common factor, and that is the contradiction. And so by the contradiction we can conclude that root 2 is an irrational number. That's all for today. We will have some more questions of the NCERT book in the next class.